Welcome to Bridge Out Ahead. This is the podcast where we dig into what's under construction in life, business, and community. I'm your host, Bridger Hopkins, and today we have Dr. Shari Aultman, the owner and founder of Healing Hands Chiropractic Center in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. She's been a chiropractor for over 30 years, and she's still looking to grow her business and build something new. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for stopping by, and we're excited to hear a little bit about what you've got going on. So, full disclosure, Dr. Aultman, I know her more so by Grandma Shari, now more recently, but Dr. Aultman is my mother-in-law. So, we'll have a fun time here today.
Yes.
Let's just dive into your background. How did you get into what you're doing now? Is that what you were always hoping to do?
Actually, when I was in kindergarten, my family saw my love for animals and said, "Oh, Shari's going to be a veterinarian," and I was convinced I'd be a veterinarian through my formidable years. When I was 14, I realized I'm young. I don't need to choose at this point at age 14. So I let everything go. Age 16, I was seeing a chiropractor. I had seen chiropractors off and on through my life. I was seeing a chiropractor at that point, and he was showing me the spine, the nerves, what organs they control. And I saw how the body was, the brain and the nervous system affected organs and affected the body. And I thought, this makes sense. This makes sense. And medicine, the medical field, honestly, I was 16 years old, and I said, this doesn't make sense. Looking back, I realized that really is God, because there's many people currently waking up to that. I said to self, we aren't sick because we don't have enough antibiotics in our diet. There's a better way. And so when I finished high school, I went on to University of Minnesota Duluth, did pre-med there, and then went to Bloomington. Well, actually, it was St. Paul, and then the school moved to Bloomington Northwestern College of Chiropractic, which is now Northwestern Health Sciences University.
Okay. So with that big change, you're kind of always skirting around that medical. What ultimately was the decision to go, say, chiropractic versus traditional medical? You said it just didn't make sense. What were some of those other things, maybe even going on in a bigger picture at that time?
Well, I benefited from chiropractic care. One day was very profound for me. I went into the chiropractor. I had a fever of 102, but I felt really miserable. 102, anyway, sometimes you aren't so miserable. Very sick. He adjusted me, and it was the turning point of that episode of tonsillitis, fever, and I turned around immediately. So that was an experience. It made sense. It just makes sense, chiropractic. And as time went on in chiropractic college, I dove into other therapies along with chiropractic.
So going to school, what does that look like for people who are maybe not as familiar with the cadence for college and then going on from there?
Mm-hmm. At the time when I was going into chiropractic, they had a minimum requirement of pre-med classes. And so that's what I took. It was chemistry, biology. We had to have some English and liberal arts and physics. Anyway, that was 2 years at that point in time. Currently, it may be a 4-year. I haven't looked back to see what I know. Most chiropractors have a 4-year degree before going on to chiropractic college, which is another 4 years. So for me, it was 6 years of schooling. We can get into that later, but I ended up taking a little time off later as I had 3 children during chiropractic college.
Yeah, pretty busy.
I was busy.
Well, let's even dive into that now. So, not only were you, trying to go to school to become a chiropractor, but you were juggling family at the same time.
Yep.
So, how did that go for you?
Looking back, honestly, I've had so many classmates when I got out of school and since I don't know how you did it because they were single going through school or married without children, and they honestly say, I barely made it. And how did you make it? And honestly, I look back and it's like, at first I just thought it was, you just get up in the morning and
You just do it.
you just do it. You put your clothes on and you go and you do it. But also I look back and I realize it is God, just the whole path of who at the age of 16 knows what they want to do and move on. And I am decades older now.
And still happy with the choice.
I'm very happy with my choice. And yeah, I love what I do.
And sometimes just having that mindset where it wasn't an option, like you're in it, you're like, well, I'm just doing this. I have to get it done. There's no way to back out, or I'm not going to back out. You just have to get through it.
Yeah.
So once you got done with school, where did you go next?
So when I graduated, I had 3 children. They were 4, 3, and 1 at my graduation party, breaking out in chickenpox. But at the party.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah. I was living in the Twin City area. There was a chiropractic group that had a woman chiropractor leaving the practice, and they asked me to come on. I took her place, took her seeing her patients, and I also started a side practice of my own. So where I was seeing patients, so I was working between the two down in the Twin Cities. In 91, we had the opportunity to move back to Grand Rapids. This is where I'm from. And we moved back I had my 4th child while I was in practice in the Twin Cities. I was on maternity leave and in the fall of 1991, and we had the opportunity to move back to Grand Rapids, and so we took it and moved back to Grand Rapids.
So just a few other family things going on, and then make the move. And then coming to Grand Rapids, what was the chiropractic landscape like?
Oh, yes. That's interesting. Chiropractic, from what I had seen and heard from the community over the years growing up and as a young adult, chiropractic is pretty strong and generally positive in the community. And so when I moved to Grand Rapids, there was 7 chiropractors in town, and I had people say, more than a few, say, there's so many chiropractors in Grand Rapids. Like, how are you going to make it? Can you do this? And my automatic response is, there's no one like me. Mm-hmm. And, as I go through life, I realize more and more, there is no one like me, and there's no one like you. We're all different. And so I started practice with 4 children, young children. I started my own practice. Small and humble. My patients, I have patients that are still with me that saw me back in May of 1992.
Yeah.
And all through 92. And yeah.
So you've had some patients for a long time.
Yeah.
And kind of going into that too, as far as starting up back then, you said, there's nobody like me. Can you even get into that a little more as far as where maybe your practice is different, or, what was different about what you were doing?
The other thing that resounded deep in me and still does is I choose to treat people the way I want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And so my appointments are much longer than most chiropractic appointments. They were then, and they still are now. And to give the kind of care and attention. And what I do, and I hear feedback from a lot of patients is thorough is the word that they use, is how thorough we are in our practice. I am and my associate. Going through, their full history, full body. And at that point, I was doing muscle testing, checking for food sensitivities and helping people figure that out. That was 35 years ago, when people were much less aware that dairy was causing their
issues or
issues.
allergies and
sensitivities, and gluten. Back then it was pretty unheard of, and people were more resistant to diet changes. But now people it's way different. People come in, it's like, okay, just tell me what I need to quit eating because I'm ready.
right. They have an idea. Even the general awareness of some of those things over time has just gone up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming in knowing, like, hey, let's identify some things that I need to, cut out of my diet or reduce.
Yep.
I have experience too when we weren't living in this area, going to chiropractor is very much like, hey, my neck hurts, can't move it, and go in and adjust your neck, a few pops, and then like, okay, there you go. At $45 or $60 or whatever it was. It could even be as short of an appointment as like 10 minutes. And so, which I at the time worked because it was kind of treat the symptom. But I know that a more holistic approach is pretty favorable now too.
Yes.
So when you're in a longer appointment, not just doing adjustments and things like that, what type of care are you looking to provide?
Well, it's called functional medicine. I use muscle testing to help dig into the body of what's causing stressors. There's foods and, oh my gosh, nutritional deficiencies, other herbs, homeopathy. Just to get a bigger picture, hormone. Helping people balance out their hormones and illnesses.
Looking at the last 30 years, I just did some research into it. And, 35 years ago, nationally, they said about, 3 to 5% of people were maybe seeing a chiropractor annually. Whereas now in the last 10 years or so, that's pushing up into like 10%. So we're talking about double or maybe even triple the number of people are seeing chiropractors each year. And have you generally seen that same trend in this area in your practice as well?
It's possibly. I've had a busy practice throughout the decades. And honestly, I've gone through several periods of time where I was unable to take new patients, being busy. So what I see is much more awareness of people noticing and understanding that the outside world is affecting their inner, as far as diet, what we're breathing, our water, medications. And there are some people becoming more aware of also the emotionally, how that affects the body. Our emotions affect our gut and digestion and brain. And so I see a lot more awareness of that, people looking for help with in functional medicine, getting to the root cause.
And I know, I've heard more and more recently too, the term integrative medicine. Does that play into what you're doing as well?
It is. There's words that are similar but different. Integrative, which people are using their prescription, their allopathic doctor, medical doctor, and prescriptions and nutrition to help build up their immune system, help their bodies to heal. And then there's the alternative would be using herbs in place of an antibiotic, because there are antimicrobial herbs that help the body when you're fighting a bacteria or a virus build up the immune system.
I know this too because I lived through this with you, but I know in the last 5 years we've seen a really big shift kind of culturally and even just in the medical field with everything that's going on, pretty much starting with COVID till now. What was COVID like for you?
For myself in my practice, we didn't have direction or given.
Right.
There was no direction from our association, and from our federal and state government. It was, go home, shut down. But whereas healthcare provider, it's like, where are we falling in this? And initially with COVID, I was wondering, what is this? Is this really the plague?
Uh-huh.
So I said, and as I'm the business owner, and I care about my employees and protect them, and I sent them home, or told them to stay home on that Sunday night, and for the 2 weeks to slow the curve, right?
The curve. Yep.
And but I found myself still going into the office, and there were people. It was a real struggle because I take care of sick people,
Mm-hmm.
and then now they're saying, if you're sick, stay home. It's like, no, this is what we do. We adjust people. Their immune system bounces back. They respond. They get well, and it was a struggle. I complied for a brief period of time, and then honestly, now I'm more committed than ever to. We take care of people. This is what we do, and chiropractic works. It's amazing. And the 1918 flu epidemic, the Spanish flu, people talk. There was a lot of people, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. I'd have to look it up, that died from the Spanish flu back the 1918 epidemic. But those under chiropractic care fared very, very well. And it's. I live, eat, and breathe that. And my family, my kids know, if you're sick, you drink water. Back even 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they'd know you drink water, take echinacea, vitamin C, and mom gets home, you get adjusted. That's what, and now I got the grandkids, and it's like, okay, they're sick, you got to get them adjusted now. I'm like, okay, I've raised.
Yeah.
They're believers. And
Right.
It adds to the daily load.
Yeah, you have a lot of built-in freeloading clients. What were some other changes that you saw come out of that pandemic period? I would say it was probably 2 years where it was pretty locked down to a pretty reasonable degree.
Yep.
A lot of fear. With what was going on there, what were some of the biggest changes you saw in your practice, but also just maybe culturally again?
Well, people started taking back their own power. They realized that they had more control, and it required that they take proactive steps. People are coming in and saying, okay, I know we need vitamin D, we need zinc, we need vitamin C, we need glutathione for COVID. And they were to keep their immune systems healthy, or if they were sick, they were being proactive rather than the government was telling them to, if you're sick, you just stay home. And then when you get really, really sick, you come in and we'll put you in the ICU and ventilate you. And
It was an interesting time for me too, having some math math background too, where like, hey, some of these numbers don't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, everybody who comes in, they're only coming in when they're really, really sick. And so when you start counting those numbers, people who come in, are going on, a large percentage of people are going on ventilators. So it kind of skewed things. But I remember too, they were talking right away, and this was early on, where like, hey, weight impacts how well you stand up to COVID. We've kind of always known that, overweight is bad, obviously. But then we saw that in real time, kind of like tying that to these adverse health effects. And I remember at that time, like, oh, I should take this seriously myself, and just being aware of what I'm doing, what choices I'm making day to day, so I can keep myself in that healthy area, if you will.
Right.
So during that time too, were you able to kind of see what people maybe misunderstood about chiropractic care, or were there any misconceptions that you were bumping up against at that time too? Nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing that pops up.
Kind of moving through that time, I know you're working on some newer things right now. Tell me about the last year or so of what you've been working on.
So last November, I moved out of my clinic space that I'd had for 18 years, and I bought a commercial building on Highway 2 in Grand Rapids, renovated 40% of the building, and moved our practice in record time.
Yeah, tell us a little more about that.
About that. So I purchased the building November 1st. Then I went to the hospital and assisted my daughter in birthing her baby. And then we went back and renovated 40% of the building space, 20 from the start to framing, HVAC, electrical, the walls, and not to mention carpet and painting. From the start to moving in was 28 days.
Pretty good.
Which I've had one contractor who's a female, but she just said, Shari, this is a miracle. You don't know that. And she's like, I'm going to cry. She said she was going to cry. She said, this is a miracle. I know how long it takes mud to dry, which is the truth. I mean, there are things that you can only speed it up to a degree.
Yeah.
Mud drying. And so that was pretty impressive. It was a miracle moving in and moving my employees coming right along, and everyone stepping up, moving in and opening up and getting back in. We were closed for a day and a half. We moved on the weekend and got set up and go. The building, I have 2 business suites that are open for renting for other businesses to come in, and I see I see a healthcare hub in that building where we have other types of practitioners or similar, could be similar other types of practitioners to come in and to meet the needs of people in Grand Rapids. People that are practitioners are like-minded, that to choosing to serve the population in the way that they choose rather than how the insurance companies dictate them. There's more and more that are frustrated in the healthcare model where the insurance company tells the physician how to care for people, and rather than the doctor practicing medicine. Back in the day, doctors practiced medicine. They looked at their patient. They had a doctor-patient relationship, and the doctor makes a suggestion. The patient says yay, nay, and they do what works for them. And currently, it's protocols. And COVID was a big, going back to COVID, was a big eye-opener for practitioners that they were no longer allowed to practice medicine. They found treatments that actually helped people, and some of them had 0 mortalities with patients with COVID, and they were doing they were practicing medicine, doing what makes sense. It's like, oh, they can't breathe. They would use budesonide. I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't prescribe. But they found things that worked and did very well. So fast forward to now, there are practitioners that going through COVID, they
kind of disenchanted with that
disenchanted
current field or the state of the field. And I think people are also realizing like, hey, I go in for my annual appointment or whatever, and it's like 15 minutes long. And you're like, are you good? Yeah, perfect. I don't feel sick right now. And they're like, you're probably good for another year. And like, out you go. And with that, it doesn't seem like you get the kind of care or time, still, value maybe even is just as big of an issue when you go in. You're still spending a couple $100 in a lot of cases. And then it's minutes and then, on you go. A little more production line like.
Right. Yep, I hear that every day. Like I heard it yesterday in the office, and the day before, and someone said, "Yep, I was looking." Yeah, that they go for their physical, and they said they didn't touch me. I didn't get touched. Like they didn't listen to my heart and lungs. That's not all practitioners, but yeah, and it's more people. They realize that this isn't the kind of care that they prefer, but it's taking for them to realize. People don't realize it's the insurance company and it's politics that are pushing they call it healthcare. I call it it's either disease care or medical care. It's other than healthcare, the way the system is set up. But the insurance companies are the ones that are mandating how a lot of what they will and will not cover and what the doctor needs to do. So that leads me to there's more that are, like you said, disenchanted. But it's also many are afraid to leave the system because it's their bread and butter. And but there are a few that are stepping out and opening up practices. There's direct primary care I realize is a newer language. Direct primary care is physicians opening up their own practice, and I see it almost like the way back in the day where they just had a simple. The doctors had a simple practice. Patients came in and did practice medicine, and with direct primary care, it's cash, so which is much less expensive. To reinforce that, I had someone come in this week. She'd gone to physical therapy, she'd gone to physical therapy. She doesn't have insurance, so it was cash.
Yeah.
And do I say it is $90? And is her visit. And I know others are maybe in low hundreds, for a physical therapy appointment. And I talked to another patient same day. I said, "Oh, okay, you went to physical therapy." And she said, "Oh, well," she went a few times and said, "Oh, okay, I can do this on my own. Now I'm going to take that money and go to massage therapy." And she felt she'd get more benefit from the massage therapy and doing her exercises at home. I said, "Well, how much was physical therapy after insurance?" After her insurance paid. And a visit was $120 out of pocket after her insurance paid. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. Person right before you was paid $90 out of pocket without insurance. And people, it's a whole new mindset for I think people to wrap their head around, to understand that once they start getting it, they get it, because then they can take their HSA and they can actually pay for what I call is health care.
Right. And you can kind of direct your own funds where you want it to go. In the last year and a half, I went from traditional health care or health insurance, I should say, through my employer. I went out into business on my own and now have like a medical share. So you're paying a lot of stuff out of pocket except for the big events. But I remember I went this past year for my annual checkup, And initially it was like $900. And this was the estimate that I got. I was like, holy cow, that's, and then I'm like, well, I'm going to be paying for it. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then it came back, it was like $600 or something. And then I was like, well, I don't have insurance anymore. I have this other med chair program, and then I'll like be paying today. And they're like, oh, it's going to be like $280. So it went from like 900 something down to $280. I was like, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't make sense to me. I can't understand that. It's not even math, really.
Right. Yeah. I actually, yesterday, the end of my day, I had someone telling me pretty much the same thing. He went in, had some lab tests done, expensive lab tests, and it was $1,400 with insurance. And his wife went in, she forgot to tell him she had insurance. Okay. They had her down as cash, and her bill was, she had the same test done. It was, okay. And it was $400.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, what? With insurance, mine was $1,400?
So where does the money go?
And hers was $400. And he said, I'm not going to complain and go back and have her.
Yeah.
But there's...
it's almost, direct to consumer. And kind of cut out the middlemen who are, where does $1,000 go?
Right.
You're paying before that, and then you're paying with the insurance, and then and both cases are more expensive than, these other use cases or these other programs, or just paying cash, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So what would your vision really be for your new, we'll call it health care center? Mm-hmm. What would you really like to see there?
I'd really like to see is I'd like some medical person there in their own practice. Mm-hmm. If required, we could maybe work something else out, but in their own practice so that they can see, they can do people's physicals. They can they can offer IV therapy when needed. So if people need hydration, women who are pregnant and vomiting and require hydration, B vitamins, vitamin C through IVs, where honestly, there's a lot of people who are avoiding going into the medical clinic because of the vaccine shaming.
Oh.
It's true. And so that my vision is that someone would be there, and that if someone wants a vaccine, they can have a vaccine. If they choose to forego vaccinations for their children or for themselves, that's our choice. That is our choice. We are our sovereign bodies to make choices for our health. So that's one, and like I said, be a cash practice. So for people who are underinsured, uninsured, or just have huge deductibles, and it's like we've discussed, it's much more a
lot more affordable. But then you still have the insurance to cover you in an emergency.
Mm-hmm. And it's a possibility. I'd probably run out of space if all the different ideas I have for, physical therapy takes a bunch of space. But if a physical therapy provider or providers chose to come in, that would be awesome to have it in the same building. I've had mental health providers reach out as they're contemplating their next move in their business. I think we have enough acupuncturists probably in town that I wouldn't require that. Possibly a naturopath. The closest, if someone desires to see a naturopath, the closest is Park Rapids and Bemidji.
Okay.
So actually anything like direct primary care, there's someone up in Cook, Minnesota. There's one in International Falls and one in Bemidji. And we have a vacuum here.
Mm-hmm.
We
So
have
there's opportunity for
there's
somebody.
opportunity, I believe, huge opportunity because people are driving. I mean, my patients, I have a whole, not a whole community. I have a community of people that are 2.5 hours west of here coming.
Wow.
And there'd probably be, I'd be seeing more of them, but I have limited, there's a certain amount of me to go
Right.
around. So we have people coming 2 hours, basically, a good hour and a half, 2 hours, just to our practice, the practice we have. So we would also be, there would be a drawing for the other practitioners for the area.
Somewhere that people can come and maybe check a few boxes off their annual healthcare checkup list, so to speak. Come in and take care of a handful of these. They can come in and take care of a handful of these appointments and all of that all at once.
Yep.
How has being a mother of 8 kids and a lot of grandkids influenced how you've practiced in your business?
It's had a big influence on my practice. So
A lot of people to practice on.
yeah, yes, there are. So that's true. Going back, 40 years ago, when I was in chiropractic college and birthing children, I found I really love midwifery. I love prenatal, pregnancy, prenatal, infant care. And I said for decades, probably, if I wasn't a chiropractor, I'd be a midwife. So I really moved away from veterinarian. So that's made a big impact. So, but I take care of people from birth. My youngest adjustments patients have been 1 minute old. There's several that are 10 and 15 minutes post delivery, and the oldest has been 100.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll throw it in. That was so funny because it was her first adjustment ever. And then we called to check to see how she was doing the next day. And she was gone because she was at work.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, she's working? It was volunteer work, but she was
busy.
She was busy.
Can take a call.
She could take a call. Oh, gosh. Oh, children. So in my practice, in my life, children, my kids, my family are priority. So I was practice 3 or 4 days a week. When I had my 4th child, I went to 3 days a week and I stayed with that. People would want to come on a day off, and I drew clear boundaries and because I was best for my my priorities are raising my children. I chose to raise my children rather than to have others raising my children, and also the other part was to take care of myself so that I didn't burn out.
Yeah.
Because I could see
It's not only were you just a chiropractor, but you were also running the business side of things as well.
And to take care of my family, number one. And so I worked enough to take care of our physical needs and spiritual needs. So we had time for spiritual, emotional needs, recreation, sports, and I say life is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and sometimes I go back to that and try to tell other people, like, life is a marathon. It's not
like me.
Yes. Because people are, to see people burnt out. They're 60 years old and they're done. They're burnt out. And for me, I knew I would, I believe I'd, and I believed then, and I still believe now, I'll be practicing for a long time. I'll
You'll be 100.
maybe.
Too busy to take a phone call. You'll be at work.
There's a woman chiropractor. I saw an article on her. It's probably been a while now, over a decade ago, and she was 92, going to work, and and her lifestyle was just perfect. It was perfect for her.
Yep.
You know, she'd walk to work and have her tea and see her patients, and in 92, and just they interviewed her, and she just loved it. And I said, I could see that. Well, Dr. Lindbergh in Grand Rapids, he worked into his 70s. Now that doesn't seem very old. Back in the day, that seemed old to still be working as a chiropractor, but he loved it, and he was working full time. His wife had to move him away to get him to quit, to get him to stop. But so yeah, priorities, family, working 3 days a week for long time, because I had 8 children, as you mentioned. I have 8 children. As they got older in school, then I added back in half a day at a time. And like I said, not only seeing patients, but running the business. Now they're all adults, have grandchildren.
You've got great in-laws.
I have great in-laws. Yeah. I do. They're all wonderful. A blessing. And
almost 3 grandkids to every, 3 grandkids to every kid you had.
Yep. And they aren't done having children.
Yeah, so you've got a big crew.
Yes. But at this phase of my life, I am enjoying like the expansion. Mm-hmm. So with the kids have moved out and they have their own families and on their own,
general contracting.
I'm doing the
recruiting businesses.
Yes.
Landlord.
Yes. And actually, I would have done a lot of this way back if I had, other than chosen to have more children, because that was inside.
That was always.
It was always in there, but the kids kept me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
They kept me focused. It's like I could say, "Oh, Big Shiny, let's do a clinic." I had patients 30 years ago. They would, "Shari, please, you need to do this. Open this, do this." And I might think about it for a minute, and then I'd go home.
And you're like, "I'm gonna have a baby in like 2 days."
Right.
I can't do this right now.
Right. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Well, really quick, one thing I looked up here, and it's just kind of maybe some disputed statements. And so we'll call this myth or fact.
Okay.
Lightning round.
All right.
And get you to respond quickly to these.
Okay.
Some I've heard, some I've not heard. We'll see. Chiropractic is only for back pain.
Myth.
Myth.
Yeah, that's what the insurance company has tried to make us into pain doctors. Yeah, back pain, neck pain, right? And if look at the history of chiropractic, the first documented chiropractic adjustment, 1895, D.D. Palmer. He was studying the spine, the nervous system, and he adjusted the janitor in the building and restored his hearing. So that was from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the 1918 flu epidemic, but all the way through, it's been about taking care of the whole body. That you adjust the spine, remove interference in the nervous system, and the body heals itself. Our bodies are designed to heal. And other than back pain, or in addition, more than back pain.
Once you start going to a chiropractor, you have to go forever.
Myth. Once you start going to chiropractor, you realize, why did I put up with this all these years? And when I could have been feeling so much better. Mm-hmm. The most recent I'm thinking of is 39-year-old male. He his whole family are chiropractic patients and have been. And he finally chose to get adjusted. The back pain is gone, is completely gone. And it's like, why did I live with this? Why did I tolerate it? And he's like, no, you tell me what to do, and I'm coming whenever you tell me to come. He doesn't even want to wait until he's back in pain in order to come in. And yesterday, how old is he? 26, 7-year-old, saying, wow, it's a little different, but he said, if you get rid of this, I'm coming every week. And, and I'm like, well, we'll see. My schedule may not allow for all that. But it's more of people choose that, no, this is actually, a lot of people choose us as their primary health care provider. And we were trained in school, we're a portal of entry. And we'd take blood pressure, listen to heart, lungs, excuse me. And so to determine, are they in the right place, being in my office or elsewhere? And there are times, there's been very few, where I refused to adjust a person and said, you need to go here.
Yep.
and have these, and have some imaging, have some things done.
So this next one is children and infants shouldn't be adjusted.
Myth.
Okay.
I'm wholeheartedly, well, like I said, I love chiropractic. I'll go back to the infants, but the thing, when there are still days where I am amazed at the power of chiropractic, and that is awesome. Like, I've been doing this for, oh my gosh, anyway, I've been in Grand Rapids 35 years practicing chiropractic. And when I can still be awed by the power of removing hindrance from the spine and seeing the body heal, it's amazing. So infants, it helps you can do so many things to the infants. Is people come in mostly, what motivates them, some people come for well child. The baby's born and they come in and within a week or two. They just like in medical, people go in to get the baby checked out after birth, and they come in to get their spinal check. And there are some people who do that for their routine maintenance for their children. Others, what motivates them is constipation is a big one, ear infections, baby's not sleeping, and it seems like, other than seeming like anything's wrong with them, they just don't sleep. And we make specific chiropractic adjustments. They're pooping.
Bedwetting. I know we've.
Yeah, people. Yeah, bedwetting. They bring the children in for bedwetting and adjust them. But as far as there's been a couple of births I was honored to be at, and the baby's oxygen was a little bit low. It wasn't alarming, but it was a little low, and they had a monitor on. It showed it was in the 80s, and I do a very, very light adjustment, unnoticeable to most people in the room, and the baby's oxygen's right up at 99, just like that. And you have a monitor. This isn't a placebo effect, right? The baby... It wasn't a placebo for the baby, and we have medical equipment on the baby, and I've seen that happen a couple of times where the actual oxygen monitor was on them, and I adjusted them, and it's seconds. It's not even a minute, and their oxygen was up. I've seen others that we don't have monitors on them, but seen them. Baby born, wasn't breathing. Wasn't an emergency, and the midwife asked and the parents asked that I'd look at his neck and do one simple adjustment. He's breathing and he looks good. His color's coming in, and I actually think NICUs should have chiropractors. Those babies would get out quicker, in my opinion.
Cool. Adjustments are dangerous.
False. We are highly trained physicians. There's always, we do assessments, exams, caution if someone's, to rule out when and what type of adjustment. We have real simple low force adjustments on someone who's 99 and osteoporotic. I'm not going to adjust the same as I am the 40-year-old labor worker. And the same with, infants. They're very light adjustments. And
you can crack your own back safely at home.
Well, you can pop it. Yeah. Yeah, crack your back. You can pop it. The areas that when a chiropractor when we make an adjustment is an area that's stuck. It's not moving like it should. And when you're popping your own neck, your back, you're cracking your knuckles, those are areas that move easily. And so people are creating hypermobile areas in the spine. So they're pop their back and they keep popping it like every day. And that gets hypermobile, too loose. And then the area that really needs to be adjusted gets more stuck because the body just is looking for a balance. It always wants to balance. So the looser this gets, the tighter this gets. And so, and I'm a chiropractor. Sometimes out of desperation, I've tried to adjust myself and it didn't go well.
Calling reinforcements.
Yes.
So now we're to the toolbox takeaway section of the show, and that's kind of just looking for a little bit of wisdom and insight that you've learned from your journey here. But what do you wish more people understood about healing as a whole?
And our bodies are meant to heal. And part of it is trusting. I trust in God, but trust in God, trust that our bodies are really meant to heal. So we give it the proper things, proper food, clean water, move our bodies, and also the mindset and trust and believing in healing. The power of the mind is so powerful. If we think we're going to be sick, people are.
You get sick.
They get sick. They're like, oh, someone coughed across the aisle at the grocery store. I'm going to get sick now. It's like, what? and they do. They get sick because there's so much power in the mind. And for myself, people say, oh, I'm sick. I'm not going to come near you. I'm like, I'm not going to get sick. I'm fine.
Every once in a while you do, but it's just the way. A lot of times your mind has a lot of influence on your actual health. It
does. Yep. And if we get sick, it's not bad. It's actually can be such a good thing for us. I could go into childhood illnesses are actually good for the body, for them lifelong. So.
Usually if you can make through its sickness, you're going to be better off after that.
Yep. I think of it as boot camp.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you let your kid lick the floor or whether you let them do it or not, they'll still lick the bar on the grocery shopping cart or put their shoe in their mouth or whatever. But,
yeah, those types of things. Yep. Whether it's related. We were talking yesterday about in like Norway and those Norwegian countries where they put their babies outside to sleep.
I've seen those.
It's cold, and they have them all bundled up, and it's like they sleep much better out there, and where they're building their immune system. When they're sick, they put them outside.
We could do that here. It gets cold here.
It gets cold here. I do have a little issue with that. I'm not as on board, but they. I'm probably off, and they're probably right. The cold therapy. Well, people do cold plunges.
Yeah.
Cold plunges. Yeah. And it kills the cells helps the cells that are dying off that require dying and boosts the immune system. But anyway.
Well, really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank
Where
you.
can people find you?
Well, I'm at Healing Hands Chiropractic Center and in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. We're on Highway 2, next to floor to ceiling down by Forest Lake Restaurant. People are familiar mostly with Forest Lake Restaurant on the west end of Grand Rapids.
And then do you have any social media presence or website?
Yes, it's Healing Hands Chiropractic is on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, and I have a website. So healinghandsgr.com, I believe.
Cool. And then, if you want to look up and learn more about what they're doing, or if you've got a business that you think would be perfect in Grand Rapids or want to start something, Dr. Aultman is looking for, we got 2 more spaces available.
Yes.
Okay. So 2 more spaces available for some health-centered businesses that you think could really add to what you're doing and add to the community.
Yep. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. This was great.
This episode of Bridge Out Ahead is brought to you by Legacy Bridge Real Estate, brokered by Grand Properties. At Legacy Bridge, we believe real estate is one of the most powerful ways to build wealth. More importantly, to build your legacy. Whether you're buying your first home, selling a property, or looking to invest, our trusted team is here to walk with you every step of the way. Legacy Bridge Real Estate, where legacies begin. Today's theme music is We're Making Good Time by Jed LaPlante. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, no matter the detour you encounter, the road ahead is still yours to build. I'm Bridger Hopkins, and this is Bridge Out Ahead.